Alright everybody, welcome in. It's time for some chess. So I wanted to show off real quick my stats. I'm playing this back-to-back from the previous game I just played. You can see for the past 6 months my stats have been rising, and then they kind of hovered for a while right around that 1600 range like we talked about. You guys were here for me. And then this last month I've been tanking really hard, and you'll see in my reflecting in my next game here. So let's jump into the next game. I have the white pieces. I'm going to lead off with my Reti opening, but you can see my rating is down to 1561. All right, so my opponent's going for some kind of Sicilian. That's fine by me. It doesn't stop me from doing my plan. I've always kind of have the option to play c4, so I'm going to go ahead and take that option now. We're going to get our fianchetto prepped, and we're going to go ahead and hop in here. Now, I don't know the Sicilian. I don't know how these games play typically. I'm not a Sicilian player. Haven't studied a lot of it. So your guess is as good as mine. Hopefully you guys are learning new openings, learning new ways to defend things. I don't know the Sicilian. But like I said, my rating has been dropping, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm just not seeing the whole board. I'm trying too hard. I'm rushing things, and I'm just not seeing the whole board. And I've dropped pieces, just flat out dropping pieces. So notice this is defended. The question is, could I get another attacker on it? And no, not right off the bat. My opponent, the one thing I do know about the Sicilian is this bishop becomes a strong piece. Just like in the games that we're playing, our bishop becomes a strong piece. Our opponent's bishop becomes a strong piece. So we want to keep that in mind. I'm just debating on, do I castle? Do I start defending this bishop? Or do I just develop the knight? I think in this case, let's just develop our knight. We're ready to castle. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Is that off? The one thing I do want to be careful of is I don't want this bishop to end up getting snagged in the crossfire somewhere. So I'm debating on sticking my rook on b2. I am b1. I hate that idea just because it's in these games that I've been playing, it's typically the C file or even the A file that ends up getting opened up. And so when you want your rook on the open file, I'm okay though. So let me just go ahead and castle. I think that's a safe move. Notice if I go here and my opponent takes, then he drops a bishop. So if I go here, it's still just 2 attackers and 2 defenders. But my opponent can simply castle, and that takes care of any wishy-washy stuff. Yep, exactly. This is exactly what I was talking about, right? See, I can't take either, because then I drop. But I can do this. Now the question is, what does my opponent have that could be damaging to me? And if he wants to trade here, I'm happy to give up my dark square bishop to take away his dark square bishop. But he has to move this knight. In fact, let's go ahead and pre-move that. He has to move the knight, you'll notice, because it is attacked twice, and he can't defend it twice. And he has to capture here. If he doesn't capture, I'm taking his bishop either way. And that's a win for me. I feel pretty positive about that, pretty happy. Do we capture with the pawn, or do we capture with the queen? We're going to take with the queen. Leave our pawn structure alone so we can push if we need. Excuse me, I've got a little drink here. But this feels like a win for white. There is a weakness here. I can't really take advantage of it as much as I'd like to. The knight up could be strong. But I'd have to get my queen over to here somehow. And that's going to take a little bit of maneuvering. So let's go ahead and start preparing. All right, it's pretty obvious what our next move is going to be. So let's see what our opponent does to stop it. We have that square covered once, twice, 3 times. Yep. All right, and so now the question is once, twice, 3 times. Once, twice, 3 times. I have everything defended. The question is what happens if he pushes? Then my knight rotates somewhere. The knight just rotates because the knight can rotate here and we'd have 2 attackers. Now, granted, he is going to get this square, so takes, takes, takes. I'm taking a pawn, he's taking a knight. So we do have to check the value of the material that we'd be giving up. My opponent would be getting these 3 and I'd be getting these 3, so it would end up the same. And like I said, if my opponent pushes and closes the position, I'm actually debating on just pushing myself. He takes, I take, he takes pawn now because he gets 2 pieces for 1. That's not worth it. So the danger levels, the idea of danger levels doesn't work. If he attacks me, I attack him. That doesn't work exactly as well as we'd want it to. Now, I would like one of my rooks over here on the D file. I would like one of the rooks on the E file. So I think that means the A rook has to come over and leave the F rook for the E file. But pretty solid game. I'm pretty happy with this one. Making sure I'm scanning the board, looking at all 4 quadrants. I don't want to blow it like I did my last game. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen my last game. Now let's see what he does with his knight. Now I have access to this. I'm going to bring my rook over to the D file and the E file. It's one of the danger zones I have to be careful of because I am giving up control over some of the squares in front of my king. So pawn hunting is not always great. I'm not in any danger of my opponent breaking out yet. Let's just bring that dude home. I could take here. All right, so now we got a question. Now we got a question. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. We can bring the rook here and put pressure here and pressure here at the same time. So now the weakness in front of my opponent, because we've traded away our knights, the dark square weakness I have no control over. I have no way to take advantage of that because I have a light square bishop. So there's no threat, right? This weakness is not really a weakness. Couple options I'm thinking about, right? Moving the rook over, and the question is, do I bring this rook over first to clear the space behind my fianchetto, so that way if my opponent, let's say he stacks his queen up on one of these squares to attack down this file, you know, maybe I want to have my rook already moved, and so maybe that's my trigger, right? Maybe if the queen comes anywhere here, okay, so he has two attackers in that square. First thing we're going to do is bring this rook over. Because now we have an alignment issue, and this gives me access to this. Let me just make sure there's nothing else better. This looks pretty solid. I mean, I could just, no, I can't take there. I can just take here. So my opponent's going to have to figure out where to move the queen. Probably something like this to get that alignment. I'm wondering if I should have put my queen in a different square instead of grabbing the pawn. Okay, so capture. Let me think this one through. Capture, 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 capture. Yeah, I guess we have to. I guess that's the best course of action. I don't want this pawn to be promoting on a light square, if I can help it. Ah, but I drop another pawn. That's the part that I missed. Damn. All right. So we're back to even. This might just be a draw. It's going to come down to the end game. I would like to get my rook up on the 7th row. Because I can realistically get both of them up on the 7th row. He could force a rook trade here. I have to be careful because here, I've got it covered. Because I have light square weaknesses, my opponent has a light square bishop. Oh no, it's here. Oh, I misjudged. I misjudged. I am losing a piece. And just like that, we lose another one. He's got 2 attackers, and I don't have enough defenders. And I just got damn lucky, y'all. Damn lucky, because this is the square that has to get covered. Can I... Yeah, because now this is not really so much a threat. My opponent missed it, and I got lucky. You know what, let's just put it on a dark square. Let's put it on a dark square. Hopefully we can hold this to a draw. It looks like a draw to me. Nobody really has an advantage over the other, and as long as neither one of us blows the end game, which we can do, as long as neither one blows the end game, it becomes a draw. It was an okay game, not my best work. Better than some, but this right here was a massive mistake. My opponent is going to be really mad when he analyzes, because that puts 2 attackers, and I drop a whole piece. I have no way to get an extra defender on that square. Because no matter if I attack either piece I attack, he got this with check. I have to move, and then he can slide back and defend his bishop. So, is the offline? Oh no, my opponent went offline. Well, this is a draw, so I'm just going to take the draw whenever it allows me to. I'm just going to pause the recording for now, and we'll jump into the analysis after the fact. I'm not going to cheat this for a win. My opponent has gone offline. I'm going to it's a draw, so we'll just leave it as a draw. So the opponent did come back after all and offered a draw. We're just going to take the draw. I think the servers are going crazy right now. I'm going to type in chat real quick. I'll be right back, guys. Yeah, I think something's gone wrong with the servers, because I can't even get good game, well played to type. So... something crashed on the game. Anyway, let's check it. Let's check out the analysis board real quick. Or maybe it won't let us. Whew, all right, it's finally got there. Okay, so we're back at the very beginning of the game. We got a draw out of this. Let's take... Yeah, this is some kind of... Yeah, so this is the Zuckertort, which turns into the Reti. It's just that flexible opening that I like. I call it part of the Reti system. And then my opponent went with a Sicilian response. And if we look at the most common responses here, yeah, C4 and G3, which are the 2 moves I was contemplating. The engine says go ahead, just play E4 and make it a traditional Sicilian style opening. I don't know the Sicilian, so I'm not going to go into it. And then, yeah, we just continue our development. So the engine's ready for me to get my knight up, but I decided to force this fianchetto. Controlling the center, right? 1, 2, 1, 2. My opponent gave me opportunities this game. Yeah, I mean, my opponent, we both played fairly solid. I mean, there is really no advantage one way or the other. And this is the part that we were talking about. Oh, I see. I was like, how does this help? Well, pushing the pawn cuts off the bishop. And if my opponent takes, and then we take back, and then we start having trades, then if my opponent ever does take, we get to pick up the bishop. So not the greatest defense, but it basically traded off a bunch of pieces. Wow, that's surprising. The engine wants me to take with a d-pawn. That's really surprising to me. It says queen to e7. Castle, queen to d2. Oh, that's how you shift the queen over to take advantage of the weaknesses. Aha, get your queen infiltration. That's why. I see now. Yeah, and that's what this arrow is telling us to do, is it wants our queen sitting here. Yeah, we slow rolled this, and the engine says we don't have to. We could have attacked that right away, but we slow rolled it. But I guess, I mean, I guess it's all the same, right? 1, 2, and we have 1, 2. By slow rolling it, we added a third, but gave our opponent a third. So it ended up being the same. And yeah, these trades benefit white. I'm surprised at how much, to be honest with you. I'm really surprised at how much. And this, unfortunately, is one of the dangers. Anytime you move a bishop, it's something that I have failed many, many times on. Whenever you move a bishop, that bishop is defending that pawn. And yeah, I debated on this. And let's see what the engine says. I know the engine's going to really hate it. Yeah, wow. Because one attacker, 2 attackers, and now I can't get a third defender on it. And I didn't think about that too much. I just retreated all the way to home, but the engine is saying that bringing it here and forcing another trade. Maybe because we've still got pressure on this pawn. Interesting. Well, I just retreated all the way home, but we still have that advantage. And then, yeah, here I have 1, 2, 3. My opponent has 1, 2. Why didn't I take? Why didn't I take? Why did I allow my opponent to mess this up? Basically allowed my opponent back into the game for no reason. Why didn't I just take here? Oops. Here, why didn't I take? This isolates that queen's pawn. I mean, we're still attacking this pawn here. We've got channels for our rooks, I guess. Let's see here. Queen a5, rook f to d8. Queen to d6. Rook a to d1, yeah? Interesting. Okay, well, for some reason I ignored that completely, and I allowed my opponent right back into the game. And then, yeah, you could see this is the move order that I completely missed. This is the part that I told you that I screwed up on. Because I have to defend, and then boom, what did I say? 2 attackers, I can never get another defender on it. I've lost a whole pawn, I mean a whole piece, and I don't even have access to here because this rook is in the way. Yeah. I got very fortunate that my opponent missed it, and yeah, good enough. That rook all the way back to the b file. The trade, now we're in just a pure draw. And this is where we agreed to a draw. Go figure. All right, guys. Well, we got a draw out of it. Draw's not the end of the world. It's better than a loss by far, especially considering we still missed a move, right? We're still missing things. This is an obvious miss. I don't know how I missed that completely. I mean, didn't even look at it. Completely ignored it, and that frustrates me that I miss these things. And then this miss here with the rook, the back row issue. I put too much faith in this light square bishop, and I've got to remember when they also have a light square bishop, if they can attack that bishop twice, I am in trouble. So, all right. Thanks for sticking around, guys. That's 2 for today. I'm gonna get them online, and we'll catch you next time. Talk to you later.